So Jason, I've bracket raced and did some NHRA racing for the past 30 years. I've watched Mickey Thompson probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, about 10 years ago, maybe more, just take over the bracket race market with his tire called the Big Bubba. Give us some insight on how that happened, because that's not something that happens very commonly in business, in racing, or in life.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a great story. The Big Bubbas, or the Bubba product lines, actually came out of, at one point in time, we were working on a pro stock tire. And we learned a lot during that program. And one of the things we learned is what we're good at and what we're not good at. So we said, you know what, here's some of the things that we do well. How do we incorporate that into some other markets? You know, at the time we were looking at some pro mods things, some mountain motor pro stock, and you know, obviously we're big into the sportsman market. So how do we develop a product based off of what we're good at? And we started development on the Bubba program with a pro mod car. And we said, okay, we're good at the 10.5 products. How do we basically take a 10.5, what we know there and what we do well, incorporate that into a tire that'll work in these other areas? So we kind of dubbed it the Bubba program because we were really trying to keep it under wraps and keep it quiet because it was different. And we started working on design philosophies of how do we keep the tires round, how do we give them enough traction, you know, reducing shake, which was a problem for just about everybody. And we worked on that program for about 1.5 years. And debuted it on a few pro mods, and then we said, hey, let's put them on some dragsters. And you know, the first thing when you put it on a dragster is getting over, it's a narrow tire on a dragster, just the look. 10 years later, now we look at dragster and go, well, that one's got wide tires on it. It looks, so yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where we took what we were good at and we just amplified it.
Played to your strengths.
Exactly.
And I mean, I remember for a while the Mickey Thompson radial was killing it in that market, and it still is.
Yeah.
So you have that going, you have the Big Bubba going, and obviously if you just look at these big buck bracket racing events, you've got to be close to 80%.
Yeah.
Big Bubbas.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly, you know, we want to grow in the markets, right? I mean, that's what we're here for. You can't stay still, just like drag racing. You got to keep growing. These guys are tough out here. I mean, when you look at the packages they're putting together, it's incredible, which is why I'm in a tire trailer and not out here racing with these guys. So yeah, we have to stay on top of that. And, you know, we are working on the next generation, you know, Bubba type products. We are working on new products, you know, with small tires. We are working on new radials. We're working on a lot of different things to make sure we can bring those things to market. I spent 22 years in product development at Mickey Thompson. So I like tweaking and turning the screws and working on the product. I'm really a product guy at heart. So I love that aspect of it.
So what do you say to a racer that says, if it's not broke, don't fix it? This Big Bubba goes down any track.
Yeah, and we encountered that this weekend. And you know, it's, okay, so here's this next generation product that can give you some added benefits. And that's one of the reasons we're out here. What can benefit the racer? Well, I mean, you have a product that works, but there's always something you can improve upon, just like the race car. I don't know too many people that leave their race cars alone year after year. Some do, but you know, I was mentioning earlier, I was talking to Luke Recco, and he says he still gets butterflies, not from nerves, because he's excited to get in his race car. And you know, we want to make sure that we were there. I raced before I started working at Mickey Thompson.
Oh, you did?
So, oh yeah. So,
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there's a reason I'm not out here.
What kind of racing?
So I just did local bracket races. I mean, I had a street car that I started racing a little bit, and then it kind of morphed into more of a race car, and I just did it for fun. You know, again, but my problem is I always wanted to make the car go faster. I couldn't stop. I couldn't leave it alone. So again, the reason I'm at the tire trailer, not out here. But yeah,
well,
so
don't take that philosophy too serious with the Bubba, because if you don't want to, you got something good right there. So I guess there's a balance in keeping it what everyone likes about it, but yet how are you going to stay on top of the market? How do you have a stranglehold on the bracket race, the radio world, bracket race world? What's your plans on trying to stay on top of that market?
Well, like I said, there's some things I'm working on, and if I told you all that, I'd probably put all the cards on the table. So, but yeah, no,
you have to kill me.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I come into your races, so, but no, it's one of those things where, what else can we do? And here's what's interesting, you know, being out here for many years, talking to racers, they will come out and say, I need a tire that does this. you've got to kind of look at what's going on in the market, what they could use without them telling you exactly what they need. You got to be able to read between the lines. And it takes, we've got a pool of people that are very talented. They got their ears open. We pull that information together. I mean, right now, I want to say there's probably 3 pages of items that we want to work on. We can't work on them all. But I know that there's something out here that these racers could use. If we could say, hey, here's a big Bubba tire, but it's more consistent than the last one. Now, we could ask ourselves, how does that happen? How can you do that? It's already working well. There's always a way. There's always a way. I mean, these guys got 6 packages, and you got to be there to be in the game. 10 years ago, I'm imagining that window was bigger.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, how do you get any higher than they are today? I don't know, but we're going to work on it.
Yeah, and working on the engineering side and being at the big buck bracket race events and supporting the Fling events keeps you in touch with, not only are you on the engineering side, the product development side, but it keeps you in touch with your end customer, and
yeah,
I think that's the difference.
That's always been a strength. I basically tell people back in the office, we do what we do on the motorsports side for 3 reasons. Right? We're out here to service the customers. We're out here to take care of customers. We're out here for the brand. We want the Mickey Thompson brand out here. And we're out here to collect intel and information so we can go back and make better products. And sometimes those things are weighted a little differently, but that last one, to me, is the most important.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say I run a 450 dragster. I have big Bubbas on it. Mm-hmm. I'll leave you with this question. Hot day, hot, greasy track versus colder day with a stickier track, mm-hmm. Different track conditions. Do they do different burnouts, different tire pressures, or what would you suggest?
Usually I suggest leaving the tire pressure alone, especially on the bias tires. They're a little more forgiving. On a radial, if the track gets real hot, you'll take a pound of air out to help it. On the flip side, if the track's really good, you might want to add a little bit of air to it. So radials are a little different, but with the Bubba tires, leave the air pressure alone. If it's hot and greasy, shorten your burnout. If it's cold, do a little bit longer burnout, because the ambient temperatures around the tire and everything else are a little bit cooler. So, but if the track temperatures are 80 to 100 degrees or 120 degrees in that range, you can keep your program pretty consistent.
Well, you guys have hit on something that's very unique in this market and
Thank you.
has a very wide, it works under a lot of different conditions.
Yeah.
So congratulations for that.
Well, thank you. It's really been something to watch it. I mean, I guess grow. We called it the Bubba tire as a development project to keep it quiet, and now it's referred to. It still cracks me up. The Bubba program was actually named after Billy Glidden's bird, because Billy did a lot of the testing for us, and Bubba passed away. Yeah, Bubba passed away, so we said, well, let's just call it the Bubba program. And Billy was very passionate about his family and his animals, so we said let's do that. So that's why it was named.
How names come up.
Yeah, it is. We've got some other names for projects too that we pull out of our hat, but that one's really close to us.
So you supported the Fling brand, Mickey Thompson, for years now. What brings you here?
Well, the event itself. I mean, you put on a really great. It's a structured event. It's organized. It's professional. And it's a great association. We've always been more oriented towards the sportsman racers, or almost exclusively the sportsman racers. And you want to come see the best of the best, you come here. And you've got some great racers out there. There are no slouches, and they're pulled from all parts of the country. So that says a lot about these events. So when we want to reach the best of the best, this is a great place to do it.
Well, I'm glad we could be a platform for that.
Absolutely.